Hi! Today we're going to talk about resting and what does that mean in relation to compost? How long does it take? How do you know when it's done? And what do you do with your compost afterwards? So, resting is kind of like baking a cake. Imagine when you mix all the ingredients and you put your cake in, you've got to leave it alone for about 2 hours so that it can do its thing and become a cake. And it's the same thing with compost. When you're finished filling your compost bin, you've got to mix it up and leave it alone. But unlike cake, compost takes a bit longer and it's just the amount of time that the chemical reaction needs to break everything down in your compost. Now, think about it. People are like, why can't I put more stuff in while it's resting? And it's kind of like a cake. When your cake is halfway through, do you all of a sudden like add extra ingredients in, or do you kind of have to leave it alone? So compost is exactly the same. How do you know when it's done? Well, you know when it's done when you poke at it and you don't really see food bits and it doesn't smell like food and everything looks sort of brown and mushy. The time it takes for compost to break down will vary depending on the season and where you are. So here in Hong Kong, what we found is that it's super fast. It takes 2 weeks. I have friends in Australia and they say it takes 2 months. And I think in colder climates, it takes even longer. So we're so lucky. How do you know when it's done? Well, you know when it's done when everything just looks brown and mushy and you can't see food bits. And the trick and extra tip I'm going to give you is you don't have to wait until everything has super broken down. You can take your compost out even if it has little avocado seeds in it or corn cobs in it, because some things just take ages. Some people like to take a strainer and they'll actually strain out the bits that haven't broken down. Other people just chuck it in their garden. We are the latter. And we found that by chucking compost in when it's 90% done and there are only like a couple little bits that haven't broken down, it's totally fine and it continues to do its thing in your garden. And what do you do with compost when it's done? Well, you can do a couple different things. You can add it on top. So if you've got pot plants or plant beds, you can add it on top and it adds an extra layer of nutrition, and whenever you water your garden, the nutrients will seep into the soil. You can also use it to mix into potting mix if you've got new plants. And finally, you can use it to make new garden beds for your plants. I would recommend mixing it because plants really need air for the roots to grow in, and so depending on what kind of plant you are putting into your garden bed, it will need different kinds of soil, and compost is very nutritious but very thick, and so it generally does better when it's mixed in with different kinds of materials. So I hope this helps and happy composting. Bye!